Good, pardon me, good afternoon and welcome to a beer. Let's straighten this up a little bit. Welcome to a beer with the Old Growler. I am the Old Growler, Phil of France, and I'm glad to have you with me today. As you all know, it's 5 o'clock and it's time for a beer. But we are in our 56th day of stay in place or secure in place or whatever the heck they call it. I call it lockdown, but there you go. And so they've closed down all pubs, bars, and taverns of Brooklyn, and apparently the rest of the parts of the rest of the country as well. So, being an avid journalist covering the malt beverage industry for 35 or 40 years, no, 37 years, and spending a good deal of time in bars, doing research and, of course, enjoying myself and friends. Now that they've closed, I have no place else to go except here. And so the Old Growler welcomes you to have a beer with him. And today, well, today's Monday, so usually I have a growler of beer, a big old container, and that's what I have to start out with. And I usually pick it up at the Henry Street Ale House over in Brooklyn Heights. And today is Monday, and they're not open. They're closed today. They're working on a 4-day schedule, and they're only they only have growlers and to go and food. So unfortunately, they're closed today. So I'm going to have to make the best of what's in the refrigerator, and it's I'm going to start out with a Bengali Tiger, and I'm going to be very sorry I did this because. Well, not very sorry, but it'll be a little disconcerting. But I do have a little seltzer water here just in case, because today we're going to be seeing if our friend Heineken can meet expectations, and we're going to check back with an old buddy of ours, old Budweiser. We're going to see if Budweiser can meet expectations, and I'll explain all the expectation stuff to you after I have myself a beer. It is 5 o'clock. Time to have a beer. Time to have a beer. Ah, there we go. Bengali Tiger from 6 Point here in Brooklyn. And there we go. You might have noticed, for those of you who have been staying with me for a while, that yes, I do have a new glass. It's not because the other one is broken. It's because I decided to. Here's a Bengali Tiger. Pour that right out there. Oh boy, it's going to come down. It's going to thunder and lightning out there right now. So if you hear some thunder, it's not an aftermath of the beer. It's the weather outside. All right. Let's make this a worthwhile pour. There's a heck of a lot more head on the beer than I usually pour. Welcome to everybody who is here. Happy Monday. Why in the world would anyone ever say happy Monday? Well, if they'd had a terrible Sunday. Well, anyways, cheers. Oh, that was good. That was really good. I could use that. Yes, I could. Most of the morning was spent going over financial statements and all that kind of good stuff, redesigning some business stuff. Well, anyways, I've introduced you to the Old Growler and why we are here. Giving you a little bit of a tease of what we're going to be tasting. These are notes from yesterday or Friday. I take off the weekends, and I'm on from Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight, Eastern Time, put it just that way. Oh, yes, sir, it's getting ready to come down. So, how have you all been keeping? We got, a thumbs up. Thank you very much. Boy, I tell you, those thumbs up. Monica, greetings. Monday, am I sure? No, well, yes, I am, because it says so on the calendar. Down here, it says 5/11/2020. So that means it's the fifth month and the 11th day, and the year is 2020. And so, yes, that is. I forgot to, yes, I forgot to tell the folks at the very beginning that, yeah, today is the 11th day of May, 2020. And so, yeah, it is. It's Monday. I know it's a weekday because I walked back and forth across the Brooklyn Bridge this morning at 7:15. Not too many people out there, and it's good exercise. I think it's 1.5 miles going across, and no, it's 2.2 miles going across, 2.2 miles coming back, something like that. I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. Shows that I think I've been walking a good 60 miles ever since our little shutdown. So, but anyways, okay. I've wetted my whistle, so now it's time to get to the tastings. This is an exciting tasting today. I'm going to save the Heineken for later. But anyways, what we if you go on the rest of the channel here, there are a number of playlists, and one of the playlists is beer tastings at the Henry Street Ale House. And yeah, beer tastings at the Henry Street Ale House. And what we usually used to do was get together on Thursdays. Jerry Scott, the bartender manager, myself, Jim Bennis, a buddy of mine, barfly, and a really good beer drinker, and usually 3 or 4 of the customers. We'd get together at around 1 in the afternoon, maybe 2, and we would usually there would be a beer that had been sent to me by one of the brewers or that I'd picked up in my travels, and we take a look at the label and we read the label just like any consumer would do, and find out what's in it, and then we would sample it. Jerry would crack it open to sample it, and we would see if it meets expectations or if it met expectations. Okay. I don't know if, yeah, let's do the whole thing here. Okay. This is the famous Budweiser beer. We know of no brand produced by any other brewer which costs so much to brew and age. Our exclusive beechwood aging produces a taste, a smoothness, and a drinkability you will find in no other beer at any price. The great American Budweiser lager beer since 1876. Budweiser, king of beers, brewed by an original process from the choicest hops, rice, and best barley malt, brewed and canned in the United States of America, Anheuser-Busch Incorporated. And they tell you all about the stuff. Oh, here we got, let's see, 12 fluid ounces, calories 145, carbohydrates 10.6, protein 1.3 grams, fat no grams, brewed 5% alcohol by volume. I actually put it on here. Okay, electricity is one type of energy used to brew. Learn more at Budweiser.com. All right, well, it says here is 100% brewed in the USA. 100%. God, they make this stuff so difficult to read. You know, I'm sure the only reason they put it on there is for the lawyers, not for the consumers. But anyways, we know what this is. Let's see. It's been a while since I've had a Bud, actually. Budweiser. It's in German. The Budweiser means simply someone who came from Budvar, and that's in was in Bohemia, and it is now the Czech Republic. All right. What are we expecting? We're expecting an American lager. It's got rice in it, so it's got to be really light flavored. And we've had it before many, many years ago, and we know what it tastes like. But let's go through the action here. Holy Jesus! There's no cut. Well, what did you expect, Peter? Okay, there it is. Sample. Big sample, actually. But it's got a head on it, so it can't be a sample. Okay. Crystal clear. I mean, it's just as clear as you could possibly get. It's got nice effervescence. I'll give it that. And let's see. if you actually stop and smell it, there is a malty aroma that comes off. If you're in lagers, should not be heavily hopped. That's to begin with, because and they shouldn't have too many aromatics coming out, because the yeast ferments at such a low temperature. So you're not expecting any real aromatics, which you don't. But there is a malty aroma. Well, there it is. I was waiting for that apple flavor to kick in, and that was always the identifying flavor for me for Budweiser. Was a smidge of an apple flavor at the very end. Not much else. Yeah. There's a smidge of hop tang awareness. But essentially it remains, as far as I'm concerned, one of the most efficiently made beers in the world, and probably a standard. And when I say that, I don't mean that I'm saying that it is a, quote, good, end of quote, beer. I'm saying it is well made, and it is a standard. When I think I've told this before, but when I was in Lausanne, Switzerland, I was at the L'École Hôtelier to visit with the president of the L'École Hôtelier, one of the top hotel and culinary schools in the world, along with Cornell. I think they have they work together. And I asked him what food service in the United States, what restaurant chain or what restaurants to comment on, because to comment on the quality of restaurants in the United States and the style of restaurants in the United States, and what he thought, again, of their quality. And if he could name one or two, I figured he'd name one or two that were top-notch quality as far as service and food and everything. And so I asked him for his observation on that as far as the United States was concerned, because I was impressed by the professionalism in Europe. And without a blink of an eye, he said, McDonald's. It is standard. I mean, that's exactly, it's what it is supposed to be. And well, Budweiser is the same way. It is it's iconic. It's simple. But it is well made. It is a nicely balanced beer for what it is. So does it meet expectations? I expected it to be a little darker, but yeah, it met expectations. In fact, it exceeded a little bit because it took a while for that apple to kick in. That seltzer. All right, let's move on to Heineken. And I have a little history about Heineken. When I was working freelance just before beverage media, so this had to have been in 1988. Just check the date. See if you date it. Come on. Okay. No, we did. I won't keep you in suspense too longer. 97. So this was after I was at beverage media, and I had just probably done I had already done cooking and eating with beer. So I was doing freelance work, and I had a chance to chat with Philippe Van Munching of the Van Munching family, who were the importers of Heineken beer. And he writes inside an inscription on the book for Peter. Okay, this will never sell like cooking and eating with beer, but thanks for your time. Best, Philippe. And it was a lot of fun reading this about the Van Munching family and how they got involved with Heineken. It had to do with a cruise across the ocean, and the Heineken, one of the Heineken family, the Van Munching family, who happened to be either steward or bartender, and they made an agreement about the marketing of Heineken, and of course that fell through. And so his book is it's not quite a kiss and tell, but it is a lot of fun to read if you're into beer. All right, let's see if Heineken can meet expectations. Okay, first of all, down up at the top it says 12 fluid ounce lager beer brewed in Holland. 12 fluid ounces lager beer brewed in Holland. Okay. Traditionally it's been in a green bottle, but we've got the can here, so we've got a green can. It follows into and the red star, of course, is their trademark, so it's readily identifiable. And it's okay. We go Heineken Original, Diplôme d'Honneur, Amsterdam in 1883, established in 1873. I should warn, government warning, if I'm pregnant, I shouldn't drink this, or I shouldn't be pregnant if I drink this. It says brewed and canned in Amsterdam, Holland, product of Holland, 2019. Well, that's copyright, I'm sure. Lager beer imported by Heineken USA, White Plains. But the serving size 12 ounces, servings per container 1. Amount per serving, calories 142, carbohydrates 11, fat none, protein 2, ingredients water, malted barley, hop extract, 5% alcohol by volume. So they got that in the print. And let's see, recyclable, enjoy responsibly, please recycle. And let's see what it says on it. I forgot to check the date on the bottom of the can there. Okay, it says BBD November 2020. So best buy date, I guess, is what it is, 2020. So we got plenty of time on. Oh, gee, wait a minute, hold on. November 2020. I wonder when they brewed this. November 2020. Should they expect this beer to last that long? Woo! That's a thought and a half. All right, well, here we go. Let's crack open a Heineken. Now, what are we expecting? Well, this is a Dutch beer, of course. So, and it didn't mention rice on the label. It had no mention of hops. It is a lager, so we're expecting the same color and possibly the same. Oh, whoever gave me the second thumbs up, I do thank you very much. And we've got 5 folks here, so welcome to A Beer with the Old Growler, and we're tasting Heineken. For a change. So let's see, is it going to meet expectations? Well, what are we expecting? We're expecting a light colored lager beer, very little aromas, a little bit of a hop tang, and we're going to try and find out what makes this different from Budweiser. Okay, they're both, one's an American and one's a Dutch, from the Netherlands. Dutch beer. Nederlands beer. Bio Netherlands. Okay. Okay, we got a little bit of a darker color to this. It's not much darker, but it's and just as effervescent. You got a nice clean glass, so you don't have any bubbles on the side. Nice, well knit head, so it shows that it either used a lot of heading agents, which are chemicals that can be used to do that, or it's a great deal of malt in the beer. Okay, aroma. I can get some grain off of that. That's a very grainy nose. I'm surprised at that. That's pleasant. A very pleasant surprise. Okay, sip. Oh. You can taste the malt in that, sweet malt. And you rub your tongue on top of your palate, or across your palate, and you can pick up a trace, just a trace of hops. Not too identifiable, but they're there. And the malt is a little bit sweeter than the hops. So you get a slightly. Boy, if I didn't know this was Heineken, I would guess that it would be a Bavarian lager myself, because it does have a little bit more body than the Budweiser, course, it has more body than Budweiser. It doesn't have any rice in it. But that's a I'm going to have to try that again without being under tasting conditions. I wouldn't mind a Heineken, especially if the price was right. So, does Heineken meet expectations? It exceeds expectations, actually. I want to make sure that I have the right beer. I have a story to tell, but I want to make sure that it's the right beer. It might not be Heineken. And it wasn't Lowenbrau. It was another beer that was brought into the United States, and it had a light. Amstel light. Never mind. That's another story. But anyways, so there we go. Did Heineken meet expectations? Well, it exceeded expectations, surprisingly. So every once in a while, a large, big corporation can turn out a product that not only meets expectations, but slightly exceeds it. Now, I have one more tasting to do here. This is I've said many times that sometimes we have friends in fermentation stop by. We had a cider stop by the other day, and now we've got a little something here. The folks at Cask Cartel sent me a sample, and this is what we get as beverage samplers. You've seen the Lefroy. We've still got a little bit of Lefroy left. Right, there we go. But anyway, so they'll send me one of these, and so this is Cask Cartel premium spirits. This is Zodiac, and it's a black cherry flavored, vanilla finished in oak barrels. A barrel rested, limited release. Sample not for resale. Doesn't tell me much about it, but the kids were good enough to send it to me. And this was a while ago. It's been sitting back here because usually I don't taste spirits, but what do we got here? Oh, some explanation. It's not on the bottle, but it's what they sent me. Okay. Thank you for electing to review the Zodiac Black Cherry Barrel Rested Vodka. Limited release. It's a unique experience that we think you will thoroughly enjoy. Here are a few bullet points about the product. 1. This exclusively available on the menu at Big Fire, a new restaurant at Universal Studios, City Walk, Orlando. They make an amazing Manhattan using the Zodiac Barrel Rested. See below. The restaurant has one of the largest bourbon selections in Orlando. It's handcrafted potato vodka barrel rested in American oak. 35 ABV, 70 proof, gluten-free, locally sourced ingredients from Idaho. So we've got Idaho potatoes. All right, Idaho potatoes. So it's a vodka, and it is rested in American oak, and it's black cherry barrel. Black cherry barrel rested. Black cherry. They don't say anything as to where the black cherries come from, but I'm imagining Idaho as well. So what do we got? I'm imagining we have a red vodka. Oh, that comes from Russia. Red vodka. No, yes, red vodka. A red vodka, and by the black cherry. Well, okay, red vodka. It's a red-colored vodka, and let's see what we've got. A snifter. And we've got vodka. Now we have to learn how to open it. There we go. All right, it's not red. Maybe it is loyal to the Tsar. No. Okay. Well, I noticed a lot of leg. There's a real, almost a sugary leg to that. I mean, it cascades down the snifter. Wow. Yeah, I can smell the cherries. That's for sure. All right. Well. Again, look at you can see the legs on that. It drains, it covers, it coats the side of the glass. The side, it just, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it does. It coats the glass. It is incredibly viscous, and it's not frozen. I left this out. Okay. Meeting expectations. It's cherry flavored. Yes, it is. I was expecting it to be. I was expecting it to be macerated. To have had them macerate the cherries and then put it into the barrel, but I was mistaken or missed the boat. And they say they make a Manhattan out of it. It would be a wicked sweet Manhattan. That's for sure. What does Cask Cartel Premium Spirits Zodiac black cherry flavored vodka meet expectations? Yeah, no, I expected it to be macerated in red, and so, but that's probably beyond what in the real bottle it would have been tough to sell a red vodka. So, but does it meet expectations? Yeah, sure, why not? I would have to find again something to mix this with. It would be a great mixer, that's for sure. You could play games with the sweet and the and spicy. Oh, sweet and spicy, that could be really fun. And put a little, maybe mix it somehow or other with some kind of malty scotch. So you get a smoky flavor on top of the cherry. That would be fun to play with. So maybe we'll play with that at some other time. But right now, I'm going to get back to my Bengali Tiger, if you guys don't mind. There we go. And I thank you all for hanging out for the tasting. And I've got 2 thumbs up. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. That's as I say, the thumbs up make a real impression on the folks at Google and YouTube, and that's what we're shooting for. We'd like to get a little bit of a ranking up there. And yes, I know sometimes this really ranks, but what can you say? Cheers again. Thanks for visiting. Oh, wow. After that cherry vodka, I'm so pleased to have the hop refresh my palate and the low ABV relax as well. Boy, not bad at all. It was interesting today, I think, as far as meeting expectations and what you expect from certain things, is to having an example of a mega company, a huge conglomerate, compared to a smaller company. And in the world of beer, and particularly in the commercial realm, the business end of it, it's interesting to see how they present themselves to the consumer, particularly in the case of reading the labels on the bottles and cans, and the artwork. If you look at the Heineken, again, they have a tradition, but it's what you expect. It is a traditional iconic label. They have made their point, and they're going to rest on it. Budweiser, the same way. It's an iconic thing, and video downloader has crashed. Okay, if we have any problems, let me know. In fact, why don't we do a test right now? If there's anybody, there's 4 of you folks there. Just send me a little message down there that we are still connected, and I would appreciate it. Until then, I'll blather on. Anyways, please let me know, because if we're going to crash, I'd like to cancel out as quickly as possible so that I don't lose this program. I did lose one of the programs. Dave, we're still here. Monica's still alive. Good. Okay, thank you very much. I do appreciate that. I do. Oh, oh boy. Well, I'll get back to it. Big and small, especially amongst the breweries. consumers, and those are the ones that the brewers have to entice and have to get to excited about their beers. And naturally, beer advertising has been was a major supporter of, is a major support of professional sports, car racing, etc., etc. Due to legislation, it's not so much advertised on television as it used to be, but it is an incredibly immense industry, worldwide, if not in the United States as well. And so trying to get into the business, trying to be a brewer, trying to maintain customer base, and all of the things that you have to do to be a business is, of course, intricately involved in beer and brewing. However, it also has to do with taste and what the actual product is. And that, to me, is the interesting situation as far as commercial brewing, professional brewing goes. Because some of the laws we just saw, Heineken and Budweiser, can put out a very good beer. It doesn't have to be a small brewery in the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont to have a good beer. It is what it is. It is what is in the glass is how you judge it. However, to get it in your glass, there has to be a reason for you to pour that particular product into your glass, and that always has to do with advertising or with your perception of the product itself. The small breweries, when you buy a Bengali Tiger, you know that you're not only buying the beer that is in the can, but you're buying into the concept of supporting a small brewery. If you're purchasing a mass-produced product, you're probably purchasing it for price reasons, although there is a great deal of brand identity, a brand affinity, particularly in beer drinkers who are attached to brands that they have been drinking all of their life. Of course, that was in the 70s. You would not drink your father's beer because that was usually Pabst Blue Ribbon, Schlitz, Schaefer, Narragansett. We got a can of Narragansett to try this week, or some of the others. So it came to image. If you were trying to drink this beer, that was your grandfather or your father's beer, and so that wasn't a good image to have. And then came the hipsters, and they revived PBR, Pabst Blue Ribbon, and the Pabst Blue Ribbon in the can became an icon again. So it comes down to what is in the beer, what is in the can, what is in the bottle, what is on draft, and what it tastes like. And to the war between the small breweries and the big breweries, I understand it. It is a vicious scrape for market share. However, there is room, I do believe, in the brewing industry, just as there is in any other industry, restaurant, hospitality, hotel, motel, motel. Boy, there's a word, huh? Motel, the motor hotel. Anyways, there are different levels of business, and I believe right now that particularly with the coronavirus situation, that businesses are going to review what it is to survive and what they need to survive, and local is going to become more and more important. This isn't to say that the big breweries are going to disappear. This isn't going to say that AB InBev is going to disappear. This is simply to say that the smaller breweries that are able to spin on a dime, that are able to change their lineup or to bring in a new beer very quickly, and also can handle the distribution and production problems that are causing havoc in the brewing industry today, particularly amongst the regionals, because as we've seen in the headlines, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of kegs of beer in warehouses that are getting old and are going to have to be dumped for one reason or another. But that's the regional and the majors that are caught that way, where the smaller breweries are able to handle it. They're able to, well, I wouldn't say they all are, but many of them are handling it by distributing their beer in a different way and personally distributing beers. Here in Brooklyn, there are at least 13 breweries, and I know that I can probably call up at least 10 of them right now and have them deliver their beer to my doorstep. So it's that type of ingenuity that I think is going to test the brewing industry as well as the hospitality and restaurant industry, and it's going to be a lot of fun to observe it. To go through it is going to be a real can of excrement, but to watch it develop and to see what's going to happen, I'm very, very excited about it. The shakeout is going to be harmful, and it's going to hurt a lot of people, but it's going to be very interesting as a journalist to watch what happens and how people react. A lot of it has to do with common sense, and I do believe that there is a great deal of common sense out there. The civilian population, as well as the brewers and the producers of meat, and the people who are packaging our foods and the whole thing, there's a great deal of common sense there, but particularly amongst consumers. I really super believe that the people who are that most of us pay attention to what's going on, and we want to protect ourselves and our friends and our families, and we're going to do it. It's called common sense. And despite what is out there and what we're being advised by government to do, I do believe that the common sense of everyone within the sound of my voice is going to be just fine. As far as the people that are putting together policies and that sort of thing and trying to get things started too soon, I'll quote Chef Gordon Ramsay, who most people despise, but I think that he's a character, and I think he's a lot of fun. But in one of the episodes, when he went up against a restaurateur who simply couldn't see what was going on, he got it right in his face, and he said, "It's called common sense, and you have no common sense." And I do believe in common sense. So here's the common sense. Well, I've done my half hour. I've done my time, Warden. Can I go now? No, you can't. No, because you got 4 people watching you, and they're expecting to be entertained. I tell you what, the 4 of you who are watching, I would appreciate it if you would tell your friends and have them come visit with you. And that way we can all have a beer together over the next few days. Because if we can get more people to watch this, that is the real key. And I would definitely appreciate that. I'm going to be sending the word out to all of my little friends and buddies and all kinds of good stuff to join me here. I'm going to be sending out personal messages. So if you're watching this, please, number 1, subscribe. Number 2, give a thumbs up. Number 3, hit the alarm button down near the warning bell, or whatever they call it, and that way you won't miss any of the episodes that we have. For those of you who are watching it at a later date, I appreciate you watching this far. And again, if you kids would give me a thumbs up, give me a subscribe, and pass me on to some of your other buddies who would appreciate it. So that's the business end of it. I'm going to have a little bit more here. I'd also appreciate it if you'd give me you can either in the comments below let me know what you think a beer might be. You might be interested in having a beer tasted. Name a beer for me. That would be a lot of fun. Topic. I'm thinking about doing a week of pairing different beers and foods. Say beer and pizza, beer and hot dogs, beer and hamburgers, beer with such and such and such and such, and be able to link you through to some of the other programs that we have here on the channel, and that way we can expand it a little bit and try and focus this up. We've been at it for, as I say, this is a 36th growler, so we've been testing out all different types of concepts and different types of ways of presenting beer. I want to keep the tasting part at the beginning. Oh, pardon me. Well, no, grant me executive clemency, because if you pardoned me, that means I would have done something bad or would have been guilty of something. Executive clemency just means you get a free ride. Don't tell that to the president. Don't. Or he'll start writing those things like crazy. And I will not get political. I will not get political. No, sirree, Bob, I won't. Here we're talking about beer. We're talking about food. We're talking about enjoying life. And we're talking about getting together in the future. So everybody's going to be able to get together for a nice beer, in a nice beer garden. Oh, wouldn't that be great? Huh? Oh boy, I'm thinking about it. Oh, there's the Czech beer garden here in is it in Brooklyn or in Queens? I don't know, but there's one that the Bavarian beer garden. I went outside of. Oh boy, they've done some great. I'll have to look it up, but. The one I'm thinking of that really draws me back is the one in Munich, the big Tulengau at the end of the Marienplatz. Oh boy, sitting there underneath the trees and having a mass of beer with a slice of Leberkäse with mustard and the bread. And there was a communal table, so people would just come and sit down, and when they heard this is speaking English, oh, where are you from? From Brooklyn. Oh, I have a friend in Brooklyn, or I have somebody in Brooklyn. Would you know them? And of course, Brooklyn being 2 million people, 3 million people, the chances are nil. However, every once in a while, but it was a lot of fun, and that was incredibly relaxing, incredibly social, and the whole families were there. I mean, grandmother, grandfather, father, mother, aunt, uncle, kids, everybody eating and drinking and enjoying the outdoors, and that I'm looking forward to. That's part of life, of course. Oh boy. Well, we've managed to make it up to 42 minutes. We're going to hit maybe 45 minutes on this one. Not that I'm trying to establish a record or anything, but I do like to know that I'm spending at least an hour out of the day enjoying a beer with friends. And I do thank you all for. Oh, we've got somebody else showed up. We got 5 people here now. Oh me, oh my! I do thank everyone for showing up. It's to see down to 4. Boy, some of the folks just kind of drop in and drop out, so to speak. But I do appreciate it. One of the toughest things for writers is recognition. We always get recognition after we've written an article or put out a video. We always get that recognition later on. See, and by that time we're working on something else, and so somebody says, "Oh wow, I read that or I saw that. That was really good." Well, that was 4 projects back. You always say thank you very much. Yes, but delayed recognition. Oh boy, one of those things that journalists live with, writers and videographers and filmmakers and photographers, and I'm wandering. No, I'm not. I'm Peter, and I'm very glad you've all been here. I want to thank you again. This time, I am going to sign off, and I'm going to thank again everybody here. Thanks all for the thumbs up. And for those of you who are watching this at a different date, take a look at some of the other playlists that we've got, some of the tasting notes particularly. And I'll leave links below to link you to other tastings of the beers, these types of beers that we've been doing. And so now at the end of the 36th Old Growler, the 56th day of shelter in place, I want to thank you all. Have a good afternoon, a good evening, and I hope to see you again tomorrow. And I hope tomorrow will meet your expectations. Cheers.